Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Now in today's video I'm going to show you how I get this kind of flawless base routine. Now this is by no means full coverage. It may look it on the camera, but in real life you can still see like parts of my skin, like my freckles are showing through. It's not full coverage, but personally I really like this sort of coverage on a day-to-day basis. I don't tend to wear this much base makeup on an everyday basis. Sometimes I will literally just throw on a little bit of concealer and have it done there. But when I do want to do my makeup properly and when I do want to do like a full face of makeup, then this is my go-to base routine. It works perfectly for me. At the moment I am using a slightly different foundation just because my skin is quite dry at the moment, but usually I would use the L'Oreal True Match foundation, but either of those I absolutely love. So if you'd like to see my flawless base routine, then just keep watching. So to start off I'm using the Nivea Hydra Express primer, and I personally absolutely love this because I find it really nice and moisturising, especially on the drier areas of my face, because I do have sometimes dry skin, so it does really help to keep me moisturised throughout the whole entire day. Next I'm moving on to another primer. This is the L'Oreal Infallible Mattifying Primer. Now the reason why I use this one as well is just because I do tend to get quite oily in the T-zone, so this really helps to mattify my face down. When I don't have any dry skin patches I will just use this primer because it really does help my oily skin. So if you have oily skin I'd really recommend this one if you haven't tried it already. Sorry about the camera wobbling, I don't know why it's doing that. Next for foundation I'm using the Rimmel Fresher Skin foundation. I will leave the shade and all of that linked down below. But I really like this foundation because at the moment I do have quite dry skin, so it does really help to keep me moisturised throughout the whole day. Normally I would use the L'Oreal True Match, but at the moment I have got some particularly dry patches, so I find when I use that it really does show them up, whereas this is more moisturising and I just find it doesn't cling to dry patches as much. So I really like to use this in the winter when my skin isn't producing as much like oil. So yeah, I really recommend this foundation. It gives a really nice kind of natural finish. It's a really good colour match for me at the moment as well because I've got a little bit of tan left on but not a ton. So yeah, I really like to apply this foundation with a brush. And then once it's all blended in with a brush, I do like to go over with my damp Real Techniques complexion sponge just to make sure it's all fully blended, because sometimes there are some brush streaks or stuff like that, and I find it does help to absorb any excess product, and it also adds a little bit of moisture back into your face which you might have lost. So yeah, I really like to blend this in with a sponge as well as a brush. So next I'm going to do a little bit of colour correcting. I'm using the Maybelline Master Camo Colour Corrector, and I'm first going in with the concealing shades underneath the eyes just to brighten that area up a bit, because sometimes it can look a little bit dull under there. And I'm also taking the green shade on my upper eyelid because this does tend to get quite red, so obviously green corrects red. I do have a first impressions video of this corrector kit which I'll leave down below if you would like to go and see it in action, but yeah, I really do like these particular shades. Then I'm just again bouncing that in with the same sponge as earlier, and I'm also using it damp. So next for concealer I'm using the Rimmel Wake Me Up concealer, and I'm also using a bit of the Collection Lasting Perfection concealer. I find the Collection one is a little bit more high coverage, although the Rimmel one is slightly more moisturising. So they're also slightly different shades as well, so together they make a really good shade for me. So I'm just applying this in the usual areas just to kind of highlight and brighten my face. And then again I'm blending that in with the same sponge. I find concealer works really well when you blend it in with a sponge because it does help to absorb any excess product, so it prevents you getting like cakiness underneath the eyes and under eye creasing and stuff like that. So I really like to blend this in with my sponge. I haven't tried a beauty blender before, but if you have, let me know if they're any good. Personally I really like the Real Techniques one, so I've never tried it, but yeah, I think I really need to give it a go because I do really love using a sponge for concealer and foundation. So next I'm setting my face with the Rimmel Stay Matte powder. This is like my go-to powder. I just think it works so well. So first I'm really packing it underneath the eyes to prevent any creasing, and then I'm going over the places that I applied the concealer just to set those in place. And then I'm also going to be going over in a minute with a bigger brush and setting the whole entire face. Even though my skin is slightly dry, I find when I don't do this my bronzer can go on a little bit patchy, so I do like to set my whole entire face. And this isn't like a really heavy powder either, so it doesn't make you feel like cakey or anything like that, so you don't need to worry about like getting caked up, because this is such a light powder, but it does do a really good job at mattifying the face, and also blending products on top go really nicely with this powder. So for bronzer, I'm using the Rimmel Contour Kit, and I'm using the bronzer shade out of this. Personally, I really like to use this with a duo fibre brush because I find it gives you more of like a light coverage. I think when you use a more fluffy brush, it does pack on too much product at a time, but I find with this brush you can slowly build it up and it works a lot better. So yeah, just blending this into my cheekbones, and I'm also going around the forehead as well, just to kind of warm it up a bit. Sorry, the exposure's a little bit too high, you can't really see what I'm doing here, but I'm just warming up the face like I usually would. And I also like to take it slightly down the nose a bit as well. I also am taking it down the jawline just to slim it down a bit and add a bit more depth there. And then next I'm going in with the L'Oreal Lee blush in the shade, I think it's 245, but I will leave it linked down below. And again, this brush works really well because it deposits a really nice amount on the face, so just applying that to the apples of my cheeks like I usually would. And finally for highlight, I'm using the highlighter out of that Rimmel palette. I really do love this Rimmel palette, it works really well. So I'm just applying this to the high points of my face, so my cheekbones, my nose, my cupid's bow and above my brow bone, and I also like to apply it in the inner corner of the eye. When I'm going around the kind of more smaller areas of the face, I will go in with a slightly different brush because it does help to kind of pack it on more, and it also like doesn't deposit it everywhere. But yeah, I do really love this highlight for an everyday kind of natural look. And so I've just done the rest of my makeup, and this is the finished look. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and enjoyed the final base routine. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do hope that you enjoyed this video. Give it a big thumbs up if you did, it really would mean the world to me, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!